Hello, hello. This is Yuri with Let's Talk Moving Podcast and Moving Sales Professionals. I have Tom and Christian with Continental Moving in Boston that just launched in April.
You go to the store, there's like a sales tax applied for like the product. Like for services,
Once
it's
again, the
not.
person is ultimately looking at what it is that they're spending on the move. So it's kind of the same thing where companies charge a percentage if somebody uses a credit card. I know a company, for example, in Virginia, charges 6% for credit cards. They don't charge anything on a deposit, but then they charge 6% if they use a credit card on the day of the move. I personally think it's overkill, but everybody has their own opinion. But then, for example, a lot of companies have charged maybe 3, 4%, and they charge their own deposit too. And originally, when I started working with a company that was doing that versus everybody else that did not charge a percentage of their own deposit, my first thought was like, oh, that's not going to work. They're not going to be happy. You know what? You just swim right through it. Okay, so deposit for your move is $50. We charge 3% for the credit card, so that comes to $55. Which card did you want to use? Just like that. And you know
Got it.
what? Over years of having that charge on a credit card, I've maybe have to waive it twice. And we're talking thousands of moves that I booked in that time period. It's not as big of a problem as it may seem when you think about it initially. But once again, at the same time, you're not any company, you want to get to a point where you're not selling the price, where you're selling the value. It's about the value. It's not about dollars. People that want good service, they will pay more because they want good service and they understand the value of it. People that
Got it.
don't, I mean, of course, you're going to get people that are money pinching. And my favorite is when you get somebody that says, it's not about the money. Anytime you hear a customer, when you're in the process of booking them, tell you that it's not about the money, it's about the money. Because the person to whom it's not about the money, they're never going to say it's not about the money. They're just going to say, okay, $10,000, okay, no problem. And now for a word from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com today to learn more. The irony
All
is
right.
this when you're dealing with sales, I've had situation where you do a small local job that's $500 and they have $20 worth of packing supplies and they're giving you a very hard time over those $20, right? And then you have a long distance move where the customer went from 300 items to 500 items and their cost went from $5,000 to $7,000 or $8,000. And you're calling them, you're like, okay, I got the original inventory, I got the actual inventory, I'm all prepared for a fight, right? And then you're telling them, oh yeah, well, you had more stuff, so because of that, your weight ended up being more. So because of that, your price is $7,000, $8,000. And a customer goes, okay, I had more. Did you want to take my card now? Just like nothing. And that person over there is fighting you over $20. So don't. The main thing is, especially with sales, when you're talking to people, don't ever assume that they don't have it. Treat every customer, doesn't matter, cheap, not cheap, what area they live in, treat them the same. Because at the end of the day, you really don't know what they have in that house. You don't know if they got an inheritance yesterday. You don't know if they sold their house for $200 more than they bought it for. You don't know what the case may be. I had a small studio move to Montana years ago. Studio, barely anything. Maybe, I don't know, 2,000 pounds worth of stuff, maybe. $5,000 move. Among that 2,000 pounds worth of stuff, she had a $10,000 sofa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you don't know. Don't assume.
Okay. So service, yeah, first to deliver the services and then treat everyone like they do have it before they, you know.
Yeah. Before they tell you, unless they tell you otherwise.
Okay. You have anything else, Tom?
Yeah, I have a question. So you serve probably like 100 companies, Yuri, and for local moves. So what is the breakdown of leads? Where do they come from? So is it organic? Some like let's say 30% Google, 20% lead providers like Yelp, and 50% like uh, friends and family referrals. Do you have like
Uh,
these not numbers, just feeling of it?
well, once again, that depends on how long you've been in business because those numbers will change. Initially, when you start from scratch, if you start from scratch today, I would say probably 80% is probably going to be lead providers right now, today. Organic takes time to build because once again, and that comes from you're getting your name out there, whether it's by social media, whether it's by going to events, whether it's by sponsoring local football team or whatever the case may be, right? But there's a lot of stuff out there. People like charities. Move for Hunger. You guys have seen my podcast, so you know I've mentioned it multiple times. I think that's a great charity. But
Yeah,
there's
me too.
others. You got to look at what's in your town. Is there a local church or a local cause that everybody's talking about or everybody cares about? You got to do your research.
Hi everyone, this is Jasdeep.
Hi, this is Herleen. We are the proud owners of the Calgary franchise of Let's Get Moving.
The main part of the business, which is sales, marketing, and advertising, he was gonna be the one controlling everything on the back end, and all we had to do was take care of the jobs that the sales team was booking for our location.
They'll give you a proper training. Then they have a nice franchisee team. You can call them, you can send them an email, or you can text them. They'll be there to help you.
You definitely need a really good team
Right.
in order for this business to succeed, and we were definitely blessed with amazing operation members, amazing movers, and pretty much even from day one, like we had an amazing team.
Visit letsgetmovingusa.com, changing the moving world one move at a time.
If you're trying to attract people, what is it that in your town or in your specific area that people really care about, right? So I really liked, I was talking to Pink Zebra, which they have one of the locations in Boston area, right? I really liked the fact that they put that Pink Zebra out there. I thought that was pretty neat. And my suggestion to them was, by the way, my suggestion to them was to sponsor a zebra at the local zoo and maybe
Yeah,
having a
that's a good idea.
video feed set up on their website to show the zebra enclosures, maybe making an arrangement with the local zoo where people can donate to the local zoo through their website. I would think that that would be a pretty unique experience, right? So you're able to do that. Like there's also there's different charities out there where you can support animals and versus like different parts of the world, support the pandas, support whatever, right? That was something like the moment I saw that mascot of theirs, I was like, that I had that idea in my head that that would be something that would look pretty cool. It would be unique and it would be
Uh,
something that nobody else is doing.
Yeah. What do you think of Facebook advertising? Does it work?
Well, Facebook advertising, I think you want to become part of all the local moving groups. There's plenty of local groups that focus on moving within the state wherever you are. There's plenty of them out there, state, city, whatever. And I think getting yourself to be part of those groups and putting ads out, I think that that would help. Once again, it's social media. So right now, it's the quickest and the fastest advertising. And frankly, as some of that, you may be able to get some of that going without spending a dime. Frankly, it's just being part of those groups and putting out an ad that people respond to. Like it's just part of it is if you're doing that type of thing, you got to be on it all the time. Like, or you got to have somebody that's on it all the time and that's putting content out all the time.
No, I'm talking about paid advertised on Facebook.
Paid advertising. So I know I did advertising on Facebook for one time. It didn't get me anywhere. So other than me posting my own reels and things like that, that has been the most successful for me. But once again, for me, it's different. I do B2B.
Yeah,
So
but your
B2C is
customers,
different.
yeah, the customers, like when they call to your sales
Well,
guys,
Joshua Pask with Pask Removals, that's all he does is Facebook.
but it's UK, it's different. Based on what you said before in previous podcast, you said like every area is different. Like Yelp works.
Pricing one, pricing wise, yes. But I don't think there's that much of a change industry wise. People still need the service. People still need to move. People still looking for in by budget, not by budget. They're still looking to make a good choice. They're still looking to choose a company that's going to take care of them at a price that they're willing to pay. So it doesn't matter whether that's in UK, Canada, or US. That's going to be universal. That's a human factor more than anything else, I think.
Because for us, from Facebook source of leads, like they mostly cheap,
Mm-hmm.
and average move, it's like twice smaller
So
revenue.
I think so here's where I think a lot of companies make an error, in my personal opinion, is that look, there's going to be plenty of people out there that want to move one or two pieces of furniture, that want to spend between $100 and $300, right? So as a mover, you can just choose to completely ignore that market, which a lot of people do, or you can choose, let's say, 1 day a week where you will schedule those type of moves, or you schedule those type of moves as a piggyback on something that you already have going on. Like, you have a job in that specific area, them coming out, moving one couch for an hour and getting $200 may not be the worst thing in the world. I think in that particular situation, it's more of a agreement or arrangement you need to make with your movers, where for those type of jobs, they're not going to get their standard 2 or 3 hour minimum that you normally pay on other jobs. I think that's what it's have to be. What would you rather have? Make extra 50 to $100 or not make extra anything? I think it's more about that. And I think I'm not saying that you should be doing that all the time, but I think if you have potentially one truck once a week set aside for these small moves, for example, potentially, if you get them, and then you pile them up, and maybe they're 1 hour moves, and you have four of them, and they're paying you $200 a piece. That may not necessarily be a bad thing. It's the same thing as doing 1 4 hour job ultimately.
Yeah, ROI on those small moves is very good, but just the question is, you made a very good point. Pile them up in 1 day, and logistically, if you set up one truck and make that route, it can be good ROI on these moves,
Yeah,
because
it could
spread
be.
out during the week, it's not worth it at
No,
all.
no, no, no. No, unless once again you have a job in their area, so you're basically setting up those jobs as saying, okay, uh, we're gonna call you the day before, and we're going to tell you what time we're going to get there. So you're not giving them an 8 to 10 time slot. You're giving them, okay, we will do it for this price, but here are the stipulations. Stipulation is this: we're going to come on this day. The guys will call you to give you a heads up when we're estimating that we're going to be there. And then the guys will call you an hour before they actually do come. And it's a fluid situation. You explain it as such. You want to spend very little. Normally, we don't do those type of moves. We can do this type of moves, but you got to be flexible with us. That's the only way that we can do it for this price. Does that work for you? Works? Great. Doesn't? Okay, bye.
That's good.
Right? Sounds good.
Now, the most interesting sales questions.
Sales
How to
questions.
close leads?
How to close leads. Well, first of all, I think part of the sales in general is you got to be real. You got to be a real person. And you can, as far as training goes, you can start people off a script. To be honest, I'm not a huge believer in scripts. I've never been. And that's going back to when I did fundraising. They're good when you're training somebody to do something, but eventually you want to get them to the point where the person is comfortable with the information. And at that point, look, ultimately, we're all trying to obtain the same information. And the information that we're trying to obtain is what they're moving. We want to know from where to where. We want to give them the price, right? That's ultimately in what order you do that in doesn't really matter. You want to get as much information as you can about the move because you want to be accurate. You got to be real about it. I always tell the story to my salespeople all the time is you got to be in my experience, every salesperson has their type of people that they book. Like for me, for example, if it's somebody that's moving in Pittsburgh area to Pittsburgh from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I grew up there. 9 out of 10 times, those customers are mine. If I get them on the phone, 9 out of 10 times, I'm probably going to book them.
Even if
If it,
it's like expensive for them, like
yeah.
Because how to
So it's
with these rebuttals, like, oh, it's too expensive for me, means it's the wrong
Okay.
client?
Why don't we change this format a little bit? Okay. You throw a situation at me. Okay. It's too expensive for you. Well, Tom, who are you comparing me to? And what are they offering you for the price that you're saying that they're giving you? You're saying I'm too expensive. What is the place that fits your budget? What are they offering you?
I have quoted three companies, they all licensed and insured, and they provide same amount of service that you gave me. So why you more expensive than them? Why I should go with you?
Okay. Same amount of time, same amount of everything, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, we certainly do price match, and if you send me their estimates in writing, I can take a look and I can see what I can do for you.
And it's real, so it does it work?
Well, here's the thing. They will tell you that they've talked to three companies that have been there in business as long as the company that you're representing, and that they have all the licensing. They can say that till they're blue in the face. Do you know how many moving companies are out there that list a DOT number on their website that doesn't exist?
or they don't have license.
Or
Like,
they
because
don't
when
have a
we get,
license and they just tell them
yeah,
that on the phone.
I know them a
So,
lot.
so you send me those quotes, actual quotes, real quote, real information. You have Safer Web, which takes 2 seconds to look up the short version of the AMCCA website, right? So you take a look, 2 seconds, you look up and see if the DOT number exists. You'll see if they have a license or they don't. You see if they have a license to cross state lines if it's a long distance move, or if they don't. So all those things, that information for us takes 2 seconds to find. You can see if they have a Better Business Bureau profile. You can see if they have reviews. Because a lot of these places, they can say whatever they want on the phone, right? But it's kind of along the same lines where, I have people that tell me all the time that two people can move their three-bedroom townhouse in 2 hours. And my question when I hear something like that is this, okay, do they have Superman working for them? Because that's the only way they're moving you in that amount of time. So you got to be realistic too. Now you're always gonna get people that are, they're not gonna listen to you. And you're just not gonna get them because they think they heard something, they heard the number that they liked, and they're closing their eyes or ears to anything else you hear. And frankly, those type of people, look, we don't, the way that I always teach my people, sure, we want to book more often than not, right? But there are some people that you get that you simply don't want to book. Okay.
The other,
If the
yeah,
person
okay.
starts arguing with you and you haven't even given them a quote yet, what do you think is going to happen on the day of the move?
mhm.
It's going to be a nightmare. You're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have guys that are moving that person that's going to be aggravated by having to deal with that person on the day of. And you're going to have to be there the whole entire time. So all the nerves involved, all the pain in the butt that you're going to get with this, it's simply not worth the money that you're going to get from that customer. It's just not worth it.
What if they say like, I want to talk to my husband, my wife, let me get back to you?
Sure, no problem. Can you get them on the phone with us right now? Maybe they have some questions that I can answer for you.
And if they would just want to like go away, you follow up them
Of
until they
course, until the move date passes. Call and call and call.
So is it like a call a day, like email?
So my personal opinion, and this might come back to bite me later, but my personal opinion is you don't stop calling until the move date passes. But at the same time, it all depends on whether you got the person on the phone, got their inventory, given them a quote or not. If you haven't reached them, I tell the same thing to my salespeople. If you haven't got them on the phone, I don't care if you call them 3 times a day, 5 times a day. I don't care because ultimately you need to get them on the phone. If you don't get them on the phone, you're not going to even have an opportunity to quote them or book
Got
that
it.
job, right? Now, what's different, and some owners that I've talked to in the past, you got to understand. If I got a customer on the phone, I did an inventory with them, at that point, in a lot of cases, it's more of a feeling. Now, if I talk to you in the morning, I'm going to call you again in the afternoon. If I talk to you in the afternoon, I'm going to call you again before I leave. Why? Because between me talking to you and giving you a quote, I just got called by 3 or 4 other movers. And by the time I call you that second time, you don't remember my name. You don't remember how much I quoted you, and you don't remember who I'm representing. If you wait till next day, you're going to lose that job at that point, right? But once you've talked to them the second time, you kind of get a feeling, and maybe you just ask them. So, okay, so we're good. I answered your questions. Let's say they're not ready to schedule for whatever reason. Maybe their move is not for another 2, 3 months, right? Because you get different types of people. You get people that want to book 3 months out. Like I just booked a job for December today, for example, right? We got 2 months. December 3rd, I think she's moving, right? But you also get people that are moving next week. I've got a $7,000 job that called me that was moving a week from the day that they called me.
What's the average interval before moving and scheduling? How
I haven't kept track of those numbers, but it's really part of it is the person that you get on the phone, but the other part of it is how convincing you are.